Did you know that a vampire once stalked 1970s London? That it made local and international headlines? And that it led to two magicians having a duel? Stick around as we investigate this strange and fascinating but very true story. March 1969, reports started reaching the British Psychic and Occult Society concerning a tall black figure observed prowling among the graves of London's Highgate Cemetery. While many of these reports seemed to stem from local rumours, investigators soon made contact with an individual who asserted having a direct encounter with what later became dubbed as the Highgate Vampire. According to the witness, he felt an eerie sensation of being hypnotized by a presence lurking in the shadows. Attempting to leave, he quickly became disoriented and found himself lost within the cemetery's labyrinthine paths. As he wandered through the darkness, a sense of something lurking behind him began to creep over him. Whirling around, he caught sight of a towering black shape which swiftly disappeared into thin air. Shortly thereafter, two young girls, making their way home along Swain Lane, asserted they had seen the dead emerging from their graves. Additionally, an elderly woman recounted being startled by a tall, dark figure with piercing eyes while walking her dog within the cemetery confines. Following these incidents, an unusual pattern emerged, with foxes in the area inexplicably perishing. Local newspapers such as the Hampstead and Highgate Express promptly seized upon these developments. In February 1970, an article titled "Why Do the Foxes Die?" appeared, suggesting that the local sightings were indicative of vampire activity and occult practices within Highgate Cemetery. The article insinuated that the foxes, discovered with severe throat lacerations, had fallen victim to the vampire. While David Farrant, an investigator with the British Occult Society and eventual vampire hunter, dismissed these assertions, he did not discount the possibility that the animals had been ensnared and utilized in black magic rituals. Following an extensive inquiry into the local sightings, during which Farrant and his associates purportedly glimpsed the apparition themselves, Farrant corresponded with the Hampstead and Highgate Express. In his letter, he asserted possessing evidence of the vampire's existence and of satanic activities within the cemetery. Subsequently, Farrant's team received an invitation to share their investigation's findings on an independent television program. However, the Society declined this offer, citing its policy against disclosing ongoing investigations. In contrast, Farrant was eager to recount his own personal encounter with the vampire. In his publication Beyond the Highgate Vampire, Farrant asserts his deliberate avoidance of sensationalist terminology like vampire during the interview. However, another interviewee, described as a somewhat theatrical character, had been actively seeking attention from local newspapers since the investigation's inception. This individual asserted that the phenomenon was none other than King Vampire, and brandishing a crucifix and homemade wooden stake, proclaimed the traditional method for exorcising a vampire: first drive a stake through its heart with one blow, chop off its head with a gravedigger's shovel, and burn what remains. This individual was Sean Manchester, a self-proclaimed exorcist, vampire hunter, and bishop of the Old Catholic Church. Unlike Farrant, Manchester believed it was a vampire of the Bram Stoker tradition and vowed to eradicate the creature once and for all. Manchester further stated that Farrant, who had previously expressed willingness to employ any means necessary to rid Highgate of the creature, would be joining him on this perilous mission. If Manchester aimed to generate widespread publicity with his remarks, he undoubtedly achieved his goal. The evening following the TV broadcast, a crowd of hundreds armed with wooden stakes and shovels descended upon Highgate Cemetery for a collective vampire hunt. Ignoring police warnings, they breached the cordon and surged into the cemetery grounds. Amidst the chaos, some of the hunters hastily retreated, claiming to have glimpsed something crawling in the dark. Anthony Robinson, recounting his experience to the London Evening News, described hearing a piercing noise and spotting a slow-moving grey figure on the road, an encounter that left him deeply unsettled. He confessed, "I've never believed in anything like this. Now I'm sure there's something evil lurking in Highgate." In contrast, Farrant remained skeptical, attributing the sightings to mass hysteria fueled by sensationalist media coverage. Despite a lull in sightings over the ensuing months, events soon took a chilling turn. In August 1970, two schoolgirls stumbled upon the mutilated remains of a woman, her century-old corpse dragged from its coffin, decapitated, staked through the heart, and left on a pathway within the cemetery. This macabre discovery prompted a police investigation and renewed reports of vampire sightings, including one woman's claim of being assaulted by a tall, ghastly figure cloaked in black. Troubled by the escalation of violence, Farrant recognized this incident as an act of aggression. Convinced of the creature's malevolent intent, the society agreed to conduct a psychic séance in Highgate Cemetery. Farrant believed that if successful, a ritual of exorcism could banish the entity from the earthly plane. On August 17, 1970, Farrant and fellow society members ventured into the cemetery, heading towards the location of the initial sighting. There, they marked out a sizable circle on the ground, inscribing it with protective symbols, salt and holy water. A second circle, adorned with burning candles and incense, was positioned around the area where they anticipated the demon's appearance. As the séance began, the sound of human voices echoed in the distance. It was the police.
"Stop or I'll shoot!"
Hastily, the occult items were gathered and Farrant attempted to flee towards the nearest exit. However, he was swiftly apprehended and taken into custody, despite fluctuations in belief regarding the Highgate vampire over the years. The tension between Farrant and Manchester persisted until Farrant's passing in 2019. In 1973, just prior to Farrant's imprisonment for grave desecration, the two adversaries arranged a magical duel on Parliament Hill in Hampstead to settle their differences. However, the confrontation was ultimately abandoned, and both individuals redirected their energies towards writing, introspection, and occasional forays into political activism. In 1978, for instance, Farrant contested the Hornsey constituency as the sole candidate for his Wicker Workers' Party. The party's platform advocated for various causes, including nudity, free love, the revival of Wiccan principles, the legalization of state-run brothels, the denouncement of communism, and withdrawal from the EU common market. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed this, please consider checking out some of our other videos like Ireland's most gruesome witch trials or the links between the Irish Fae folk and ancient aliens. Please also don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, God bless you, God bless your families, and bye for now.